Welcome to today's webinar on 21st Century Communication Strategies to Support Community and Police Dialogue. My name is Jennifer Stiles. I am the Project Manager for IACP's Promising Practices in Tribal Community Policing Project and Staff Liaison to the IACP Indian Country Law Enforcement Section. Today's webinar is made possible through the support of the COPS Office of the U.S. Department of Justice. This is the fourth in our series of Tribal Community Policing webinars. Today's webinar will discuss ways to support dialogue and build relationships with community members. Our presenters today all represent tribal police departments, but the strategies they discuss are applicable across agency types, so we welcome our state and local law enforcement leaders, as well as our tribal law enforcement leaders. In today's policing environment, there are few topics more essential than communication, transparency, and community trust. And we are so pleased to have our esteemed panel of chiefs with us today to share insights and strategies about how their departments have engaged their communities through in-person events, social media, and other modes of communication. Today's panelists include Chief Carl Auerbach, who is Chief of Police for the Salt River Police Department of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community in Scottsdale, Arizona. Ken Murphy is Chief of Police for the Wyandotte Tribal and Municipal Police Department that serves the Wyandotte Nation and the town of Wyandotte, Oklahoma. And finally, Chief Bill Denke is the Chief of Police of the Suquan Tribe in El Cajon, California. Chief Denke is also the Chairman of IACP's Indian Country Law Enforcement Section. We will start with Chief Auerbach, who will discuss some of the ways that his agency supports dialogue through in-person community events.
Good morning. On behalf of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community and the 155 men and women of the Salt River Police Department, we thank you, Ms. Stiles and Mr. Battle, and our International Association of Chiefs of Police for inviting us to be presenters today on the IACP Indian Country webinar. We pray that the information we're about to share through our PowerPoint presentation will bring value to others and everybody that's participating on the webinar. What I have scheduled today for our agenda to cover with everyone is an overview of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community, an overview of the Salt River Police Department, our community-based policing program called the Salt River Police Department Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month, how this innovative program directly supports community and police dialogue, and then open it up to any questions. So starting with the first slide will be an overview of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community, and that's on slide here. Brief overview of the community is our Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community was established by executive order in 1879. Our community is a sovereign tribe. It's comprised of two Native American tribes, the Pima and the Maricopa. We have over 10,000 persons who are enrolled tribal members. The leadership of our community is an elected council comprised of a president, vice president, and 7 council members. Our community operates a full-service government comprised of over 1,500 employees, 25 departments, programs, projects, and facilities that cover about 90 square miles. Our unique environment is comprised of rural agriculture. About 19,000 acres is a natural preserve incorporating Granite Reef Dam and 2 rivers that flow. That's the Salt River and the Verde River. We also have an urban area that's comprised of recreational, commercial, and industry. We also have a considerable amount of residential homes, 132 miles of roadway, and 3 major state freeways, including Loop 101, Loop 202, and the State Route 87 Beeline Freeway. We're bordered by the fine cities of Scottsdale, Tempe, Mesa, Fountain Hills, and the Fort McDowell Indian Community. The service population of our community is what we consider an aggregate total of the resident population, businesses, commercial, entertainment, government, hotels, casinos, our resorts, and the daily average vehicle counts on 3 of the freeways and 132 miles worth of highways and roadways of our community. So that daily service population is over 300,000 people within our community on a daily basis. There are over 350,000 vehicles daily within our community, 247,000 vehicles daily on the Loop 101 Pima Freeway. Again, there's 132 miles worth of roadway in the community and 18 miles of major freeways. We're also home to the Salt River Fields Baseball Stadium. That's the spring training home of the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. and we are the first Major League Baseball stadium located within Indian Country in the United States. We're also home to the Talking Stick Resort, a 15-story hotel owned and operated by the community. We have 2 Casino Arizona sites located within the community, McKellips, and also on Talking Stick Way. We're also home to a world-class golf course called the Talking Stick Golf Club that was created by a Core and Crenshaw Design located in the community. Our next slide, we have 1.5 million square feet of Class A business and commercial offices within the corridor of the community. There are 3 other major hotels and motels in the community, Courtyard Marriott, Residence Inn, and the Hampton Inn Suites. We also have a considerable area of shopping malls called the Pavilion Shopping Center. It's home to the Butterfly Wonderland, Top Golf, Octane Raceway, the Kahala World Headquarters. That's the headquarters for Cold Stone, Blimpie, Samurai Sam's, and the Great Steak. Just recently, the Odyssey Aquarium opened up in July, and within the next couple of weeks, another connector to that facility and next to the Butterfly Wonderland is called the Dolphinarius. That's an interactive experience with dolphins and other aquatic life that's there at the Odyssey Aquarium and also the Dolphinarius. Currently under construction is a Scottsdale Auto Show that will be located within Salt River. This is an auto complex with multiple auto dealerships covering about 70 acres. It'll be the 3rd largest auto mall in the United States, and that's scheduled to open in January of 2017. We also have 3 colleges and 10 schools within the community, and also multiple commercial and industry businesses located within the community. On this slide is a map of the community that depicts all these different locations and enterprises that are owned and operated within the community, including Talking Stick Golf Course, Salt River Materials, a commercial landfill, financial services institution, Saddleback Communications, our own telephone company, the Pavilion Shopping Center, and the Salt River DevCo facility, the development corporation for the community. This slide is of our Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. 2 tribes, 2 teams, and 1 home. It is the home to the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies for spring training. We were also voted the best experience in North America for fan experience, number 3 overall for special events venues. And actually the stadium is also used for a variety of different events year-round. It's a wonderful facility. It's about 15,000 gate count, and it is open year-round for a variety of different events that are hosted by the community. This is a map here of the state of Arizona, and by way of introduction to our guests on the webinar, I thought that this would be a quick review of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community and also just a bit of the state of Arizona. The state of Arizona is home to 21 federally recognized tribes within the state of Arizona, and 28% of that land in the state of Arizona belongs to federally recognized tribes that are located within the state. Most of our Indian communities are adjacent or within urban areas, and we all enjoy mutual economic resources, opportunities, and partnerships in the state of Arizona. Oh, well, my slide is populating with some information that I already shared. I'm sorry about the delay. That's 21 tribes are located in the state, 4 Office of Self-Governance, and the Native American population within the state of Arizona, according to U.S. Census 2014, is 300,000 Native Americans within the state of Arizona. Again, by way of introduction and a quick overview of our Salt River Police Department, our staffing is budgeted for 155 team members. We have 118 police officers. Every one of our officers is tribal, state, and federally certified. We also have detectives, motorcycle officers, rangers, canine, school resource officers, and a SWAT team. We have 1 sergeant and 4 detectives full-time in our intelligence unit, and we have 1 officer who's temporarily, their duty is full-time at the East Valley Gang and Criminal Information Fusion Center. We also have 37 professional civilian team members that are also on our department, an annual average of about 75,000 calls for police service. That's radio or self-initiated. And to date, the Salt River Police Department is the only police department within Indian Country in the United States that have fully deployed staff, full-time participation in a local fusion center and receive critical DHS information as well as local career criminal and gang information from our fusion center. Our police department currently investigates and hand delivers cases directly to our tribal, state, and federal prosecutors. We are a full-service police department. Our first responders respond to animal, civil, criminal, traffic calls for police service 24 hours a day. We're responsible for 88 square miles, about 350,000 vehicles in the community, and about 350,000 persons in the community each and every day. About 75,000 calls for police service each year, radio and self-initiated. We have over 20,000 police reports that we take each year, over 100,000 telephone calls into our communication center, and an additional 15,000 911 calls. Over 12,000 traffic citations were issued. We investigated over 700 automobile collisions, including 5 fatalities in fiscal year 2015. We also were involved in 95 extraditions upon wanted felons. These are felons that were located within the community and they were extradited outside of the community. Our response time last quarter to priority 1 calls was 4 minutes and 20 seconds, pretty close to the national average of about 4 minutes. And our response time last quarter to priority 2 calls for service was 7 minutes and 15 seconds, which is slightly under the national average of 8 minutes. A quick overview of the organizational structure of the Salt River Police Department and the 155 team members. We have 4 divisions: an administrative division comprised of the Office of the Chief, PIO, Professional Standards, Recruiting, Training, Intelligence, CompStat, Audits, Inspections, Equipment, Fleet, and a Records Bureau. Our Criminal Investigations Division has 4 separate bureaus: Persons, Property, Major Investigations, Crimes Against Children, SORNA, Street Crimes, Special Investigations, Property and Evidence, and our Special Operations Unit, our SWAT team. Our Field Operations Division is comprised of 3 separate bureaus: our Patrol Bureau, Uniform Patrol, Traffic Enforcement Bureau, our motorcycle officers, and our Community Policing Unit, School Resource Officers, our Community Action Team, and our Ranger Unit. And our 4th division is our Public Safety Communications Division. That's our police and fire communications dispatchers who receive all telephone calls and 911 calls and dispatch police and fire for the community. Now on to our community-based policing program, and thank you again, Ms. Stiles and Mr. Battle, for the opportunity to share this with everybody on the webinar. We have a program that we operate each and every month, and the name of the program is our Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month. The purpose of the program is a unique community-based policing program, and it was designed to improve the positive interaction with the community for safety, health, and welfare. And it is also consistent with our police department's community-centered policing goal. Our audience within the community are all community members, all ages, and we make a point of attending each and every meeting within the community. And I'll give you a quick description of that. We also use several mediums to make sure that we exchange this vital information and communication with our community. First, it's in-person monthly presentations. And we also follow up with our community newspaper twice monthly, our newspaper called the Optum Action News. We also have an attachment of a hyperlink here if anybody's interested in receiving or reviewing that newspaper. And on the next slide, I believe that there's, there we go. Thank you, Ms. Stiles. That's an article from June about our Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month article. It was featured in our Optum Action News. Each and every month, the information that we've shared during the month with the community at various meetings is then provided to our newspaper, and they create an article called the Monthly Crime Prevention and Safety Tip. And I believe this article in June were some safety tips about the heat in our community. As probably everybody knows, in Phoenix, in June and July and August, it gets up to about 120 degrees. So we share a variety of different safety tips for the health, safety, and welfare of our community. And this is done in person at all of our meetings. And then this is a newspaper article that is shared both online and in a print medium shared with the entire community. A brief overview of the Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month is that each month we do present in person at a variety of different meetings. And those include our seniors breakfast at our senior center, block watch meetings in the community, and there's several of those, and at every council district meeting. So we share a different crime prevention and safety tip at each one of these meetings, and then also follow up with the newspaper articles and also online. Each month we cover a new topic. It's real-time value to the community. Most are seasonal, and then I have a detailed list on slide numbers in the following slides here that I'll cover with everyone in just a minute. They are proactive and they are timely. We wanted to ensure that the information that we shared with the community would bring value to them. And it is also a great opportunity to spend time and talk with the people of the community, talk with the community. And that's an important distinction because many times we in policing sometimes have a tendency to talk to people. And there's a significant difference of when we spend time with the community and we talk with the community members. And it's an important part that I need to share with everyone, and I also share this with our staff. It's an opportunity to listen to our community and to learn from our community. So this is also an opportunity for positive interaction with the community. Each month we publish each one of our crime prevention and safety tips. And at least for the last 6 months, I've been the presenter at each one of these sessions and share with you. It's very, very personal because it is in person and it's engaging with the community members who are in attendance. It is in person, it's very interactive, and it provides real-time valuable crime prevention and safety tips to all the membership who attend each one of these meetings. We also have several giveaways provided at each one of the presentations. So we're making the experience and the learning opportunity very interactive and something fun and some easy action steps or action items for them to remember. Again, it's all focused about health, safety, and welfare, and it's a great opportunity to improve the quality of life in the community. Just one quick example is, and I'll get to that in another slide, is October's presentation is all about Halloween safety and pedestrian safety. Probably everybody that's on the webinar and all of our criminal justice partners and law enforcement partners that are in attendance today in the webinar know that Halloween, tragically, is data and statistics measured to be the most tragic day out of the year for motor vehicle collisions involving pedestrians, specifically involving kids. So at our presentation, the interactive giveaways with the community members were flashlights and glow sticks. So we've made sure that at each one of our meetings that beside being in person and interactive and being very personal and engaging with the community, to talk with the community and to listen to our community, we've made sure that the giveaways are something that are functional, something that's beneficial. It's also a great opportunity to meet all of the community members who are in attendance. And very, very important, it's our opportunity to introduce our police officers and to work together as one united community so we can better communicate, we can educate, share knowledge and resources, and prevention and safety tips for the safety, health, and welfare of our community. On this slide is a little further information here specifically about how our innovative program directly supports the community and police dialogue. Again, it's very personal, it's in person, interactive, it provides real-time valuable crime prevention and safety tip information. It's proactive and timely. It's seasonal, so we have a different tip that usually fits into each one of the months and each one of the seasons. So it's real time and it's useful information. We're engaged directly with the community, speaking with the community. It is another example of positive interaction with the community who we serve. And an important note here is that it is consistent with our community-based policing. And if I can, our definition of community-based policing is simply knowing the community who we serve and the community knowing who we are. And until that truly occurs, and that it's very personal, and they get to see our officers, and then our officers get to meet the community members, then that's a missed opportunity. So by engaging the community and having these types of meetings and sharing this type of communication with our community, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive about how we've been able to improve our communication with the community, and bottom line is to improve the trust with the community. It's also a great opportunity to meet community members, introduce our officers, and again, work together as one united collaborative team. And that's truly what a community is all about. One united collaborative team with one mission, the health and safety and welfare of our community. On our next slide, I made sure that I put in bold and made sure that it was a bright red to draw everybody's attention to this, because our #1 priority as a police department serving the community is to build trust with the community. And the most meaningful relationships, the most long-lasting relationships, are built on trust. And this program, our Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month, and attending each one of these meetings is an excellent opportunity to meet the community, spend time with the community members, talk with the community, listen to them, and to learn from them. It's an absolute essential core value of all relationships, building trust. We've had quite a few successful results of our programs, and especially this program over the last 6 months. And I wanted to share with everyone that our successful results are measured in many ways, including positive feedback that we receive from the community. And one of those I wanted to highlight is we know that we've made a connection with the community when many of the community members are making recommendations to us about what to maybe highlight the following month, and making recommendations of maybe getting that message out to a broader medium so everyone in the community is aware of the Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month. We've also seen over the last 6 months, specifically, that's data, information, metrics, and statistics driven, a reduction in crime, our response times, and ultimately our goal is to improve the safety and the quality of life within the community. And this is an important program because we do each one of these steps, each one of these objectives, while we honor the proud and vibrant culture, history, and traditions of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. It is consistent with our SRPD community-centered policing goals, and it's also consistent with our educational programs and projects and enforcement operations. And a bullet point that's not on there, but I wanted to share with everybody on the webinar, is that another measurement here too, because we also conduct an evaluation of all of our programs, and we continuously evaluate the effectiveness and the quality of our programs and projects through several different methods to ensure that our programs and projects that we do operate deliver measurable and sustainable, valuable information to our community. Because we know that this feedback is essential to ensure that we're sharing beneficial information that's current and valuable, and bottom line, that we're making a difference in the community. On this slide here, and the next 2 slides, we'll cover the topics over the last 6 months of our Crime Prevention and Safety Tip of the Month. In April, again, it's seasonal and timely. We covered tax fraud, ID theft, scams, telephone, email, and these safety tips for all of our community members. And this was extremely beneficial for our elders and seniors. And anyone in our population, anywhere in the world, and anyone in the United States, of course, is aware of the different frauds and ID theft and scams that are out there. But there's also a section of population that we consider are really vulnerable, and many times, regrettably, the evil forces that are out there, the criminal element, really target on the youth of our community and also our elders and seniors. So this was a real timely presentation. In May, here in Arizona, it's starting to get a little bit hot out there, so we covered pool safety and heat safety. We covered topics about not swimming in canals and the heat dangers of not leaving kids, elders, or pets in vehicles. In June, when it's a bit hotter out here in Phoenix, Arizona, we covered summer safety tips. We have a weather phenomenon that's called the monsoon. It's where big storms roll in, big thunderheads, and many times there are power outages that could last anywhere from minutes to hours. So we covered valuable information about how to be prepared, have water on hand, medicines, food, flashlight, radio, communication system, who to communicate with, and also to be careful if you're leaving the windows open at night for the cool air because of possible intruders, and because it is hot outside, a lot of people do sleep with their windows open. In July, we covered 4th of July celebration safety tips, such as leaving the fireworks to the experts, and about firearms, because it's never justified or ever safe ever discharging a firearm up in the air. So again, this was a very timely and seasonal safety tip to our community. The next slide will cover August, September, and October. Thank you, Ms. Stiles, right on cue. I appreciate that. In August, school would be starting soon, so we covered safety tips, driving safety, school zones, 50 mile per hour in school zones, school bus stops, what to do when you see a school bus stop with the red flashing lights and the stop sign out. We also have a program here in the community called COB, Cops on a Bus. And no, they're not just getting a ride on a school bus, but it is a great time to spend some time with our kids in our community, because they are truly the next generation of leaders in our community. Our COB program, Cops on a Bus, is that we have an officer, usually it's one of our school resource officers on a school bus, and he or she then would have a police radio and then could report to our motorcycle officers if they saw anybody driving around one of the school buses or driving in an erratic or a reckless manner. Very successful program. The last item here is no texting and driving. Our community in the state of Arizona was the first community to pass a no texting and driving ordinance. And we've done wonderful work here as a united and collaborative team in our community, working with our elected officials, our community body, our youth groups, education departments, all of our public safety, and definitely our police officers out there, keeping an eye open for anyone that might be texting and driving. We all know distracted driving is really dangerous. So this is another important message that we shared with the community for their safety, and very good feedback on that particular program. In September, we covered the topics of alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs, and over-the-counter drugs in inhalant abuse prevention, because September was Narcotics Prevention Month. So we shared some valuable tips in these particular topics, some resources, and some opportunities for our community to share some of their thoughts, especially about how we could work better together to prevent and to reduce alcohol, drug, prescription, and over-the-counter inhalant abuse in our community. Finally, the last topic here for a crime prevention and safety tip was our October presentation about Halloween and pedestrian safety. And at each one of these presentations, again, it's very engaging with the community, and that we share some interactive prizes with the community that are very useful and beneficial to them. So I think we're ready for the next slide, Ms. Stiles. Our last slide in conclusion is safety and protection of our community is our #1 priority. We are the Salt River Police Department, and we are the guardians of the people. And that concludes my PowerPoint presentation for this afternoon. I pray that the information that we shared is valuable and beneficial to everyone that's on the webinar. And the very last slide here, Ms. Stiles, would be, this has my name and my contact information. If my department could be of any service, provide any assistance in the future. And then it's been my honor to be able to share this information with everybody on the webinar this morning.
All right, thank you so much, Chief Auerbach. We did have one question come in that was kind of specific. We'll do questions at the end, but I did want to mention this one because it is fairly specific to your project. We had a question come in about how many people typically come out, how many people you reach per month with your program?
Thank you for the question. Yesterday was a presentation at one of the Block Watch meetings, and we had 75 to 80 persons attend that meeting. It could range from a council district meeting where there may be 25 to 50 persons in attendance, or our senior breakfast that's the first Wednesday of each month, where there's about 225 to 200 persons in attendance at that meeting. So each one of these meetings is a great opportunity to be able to spend time with the community and to introduce our officers and to share a crime prevention and safety tip with our community.
That's great, thank you. And I would encourage anyone else who has questions, please feel free to put them in at any point in our question box, and we'll take some more questions at the end. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Murphy to tell us a little bit about some of the online communication tools he's using.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and Chief Auerbach, outstanding community programs out there in Salt River. Very impressed. I was asked to speak just briefly about our use of social media, and I guess to give an overview of our department. The Wyandotte Nation is probably the other end of the spectrum. We're a small tribe in northeast Oklahoma. We have a checkerboard jurisdiction with our headquarters located in Wyandotte. Our jurisdiction's general northeast quarter of Ottawa County, Oklahoma, and downtown Kansas City, Kansas. We have 10 sworn officers and 2 civilians. Our total tribal population is a little over 6,000, but we only have 1,350 within a 50-mile radius of Wyandotte, which includes Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and Arkansas, since we're situated in the far northeast corner of Oklahoma. We have about 1,650 residing in Oklahoma overall. By compact, the Wyandotte Nation also provides law enforcement services for the town of Wyandotte. We compacted with them in late 2009. They had a small police department at the time, and it just wasn't efficient for us to duplicate services. So we joined together, and that's worked very well here. With a recent annexation by the town of Wyandotte, the population is estimated at around 800. We have a public school in Wyandotte with an enrollment of around 800 and a transient daytime population of around 5,000 with our local businesses and gaming operations. We have a truck stop and 2 casinos that operate 24 hours a day. We also have jurisdiction over U.S. Highway 60, about 1.2 miles. Half mile of that is in Indian country, it's tribal jurisdiction, and about 7/10 of a mile in the municipal jurisdiction alone. Highway 60 carries about 8,000 vehicles a day, and many of those are heavy trucks, so we stay fairly busy. I added a map of the state of Oklahoma and how the Indian country is situated. This is the original reservation map. We no longer have reservations in Oklahoma, but it gives you an idea of the size of what the Wyandotte Nation originally consisted of. It's in the far northeast corner where all the small tribes were located back in Indian Territory. Okay, a little bit about me. I wear several hats, but I'm the Chief of Police, also the Director of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I began my career in law enforcement in 1981 here in northeast Oklahoma. I've worked mainly for small and rural agencies. I experienced the Indian country transition in the mid-'80s. Oklahoma didn't recognize Indian country and didn't join in Public Law 280. The story goes that they called the governor and invited them to join Public Law 280, and he claimed that they already had jurisdiction over Indian country, and so there goes the story. In '85, a court case here in Oklahoma brought forth the sovereignty of Indian country and definitely changed the way we did things at the time. I was a civilian employee of the Marine Corps and the Army and Air Force Exchange Service overseas for a while, and I also retired from the Army National Guard as an infantryman and later as a Navy Master at Arms, which is their military police. I kind of took a break from law enforcement in around 2000 and went to work for Intel Corporation out in New Mexico. They paid for my bachelor's degree, and I was very thankful for that. And I became an automation engineer and learned a lot about efficiency, developing lights-out manufacturing in a high-volume manufacturing facility. And I bring a lot of that experience with me to law enforcement, I believe, both in technology and efficiency. I have an associate's degree in law enforcement and a bachelor's in applied management, and I've been the Chief of Police here in Wyandotte since 2009. So that we'll turn to the social media question. What is the necessity of social media? I know a lot of my officers are resistant to social media. They see the negative sides of it, but even the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing brought forth the importance of social media, transparency, and communicating with the people we serve. I was fortunate enough to attend the President's briefing on the 21st Century Policing, and out of all the topics that were available to discuss there, out of the 4 that they chose, social media was one of them, so that demonstrates the importance of use of social media. It's today's preferred method of communicating, especially the younger generations. And we must have a strategy to respond to negative contacts and false narratives. We're all way too familiar with how that has affected law enforcement in general, and we have to get our side of the story out and communicate in the same forms as the other side of the equation. It's an efficient, effective method of communicating important information. First off, you need to look at policy. You have to have a good, solid policy, both for departmental and official use and also employee use. If you haven't had a personnel issue involving the use of social media yet, you will. You need to have some clear policies. We use the ICP model policy on social media. It's comprehensive. It's developed by the ICP Center for Social Media in conjunction with the ICP National Law Enforcement Policy Center. It addresses both official and personal use, and very importantly, provides some legal statements and disclaimers that need to be included on your social media pages. You'll need to designate who is going to use this on an official capacity for the department. It could be the chief of police, someone on the command staff, or a public information officer. Obviously, with our size department, it's very limited on who is available to provide updates to the public. So generally myself and my patrol supervisor are the only ones that update our social media pages. Because once it goes out there, you can't get it back. Somebody's already copied it, taken a screen capture, so you want to have someone designated that is very, very clear on your policy and the use of social media. Probably our most common outlet is Facebook. I think it's the most widely used in our area, and it's very well accepted. We're able to use it for various announcements, whether it be missing persons, public safety, traffic incidents, weather updates, and just general safety messages. One of the pictures here is a post that we provided on a horse that was found in our jurisdiction. The owner of the horse was traveling through, and somehow the back of his trailer came open and the horse escaped. This driver went on to Texas before he realized he was missing his horse. So if not for posting this on social media, it being seen by a resident nearby that recognized the brand, contacting that individual in Texas who called us, we probably wouldn't have been able to locate the owner on this horse. But it was very, very impressive how quickly this message spread, and we had the owner on the phone within just a few hours. We have to look at our audience, and we try to post messages that are inclusive of not only the local community, but some of our tribal citizens nationwide, and even some of the global community. We have likes on our Facebook page from several countries, and our tribal members obviously are mobile, and we like to have them keep in touch with the local community through our social media posts. We also receive feedback through Facebook and Twitter, and we encourage that. We get comments from tribal members, community members around the country. It lets us gauge the success of our programs and also the popularity of some of our new programs. We're also able to initiate surveys through social media to get direct feedback. Make sure that you're familiar with your user settings on the various modes of social media. They're very robust in most cases, and you can set the security settings so that input is moderated. You can approve messages before they are visible to the public, or you can set language filters so that you don't have anything pop up that you don't want your younger viewers to see. You also need to include your exclusion policy. There will invariably be someone that you will have to ban from your page for whatever reason, and you want to have that covered by policy so there's no appearance of discrimination against any certain individual or group. We also use Twitter. It's a very quick and easy method to communicate. The messages are limited to 140 characters, I believe, but it's very easy to tweet out traffic safety issues or weather alerts. Also, the various forms of social media are connected, so that if we make a post on Facebook, it will also appear on our Twitter feed, and also with Instagram, photos taken there will go to all modes of social media if we choose them to be. Instagram is something that we haven't used very widely. It was actually a tool that was suggested at the 21st Century Briefing. It is a great way to capture photographs, and it as well as link to Facebook and Twitter so that you can share across multiple platforms at the same time. Nixle is we looked at this as a mass notification tool, but it also has become interactive with new features. Nixle provides us with means to send out messages by SMS text, email, and also has a reverse 911 or phone dial feature. We use it to send out weather advisories, watches and warnings, traffic hazards, emergency alerts, community events, internal messaging. It rebroadcasts National Weather Service watches and warnings depending on your configurations. The new features for the two-way communication is it has the ability to allow citizens to text tips anonymously to the department, and also a new feature for to text help, similar to texting 911, but not quite as efficient. These are great new features, and I don't want to sound like I'm advertising any particular service, because I know there are others out there besides Nixle, but this has been very effective for us for several years to deliver messages to a wide range of community members, whether they've signed up on it individually or targeted groups internally. Our community daycare and preschool uses Nixle to send messages to parents of students, and we also use it to send messages to staff internally. So Nixle is a great tool, and I'm really excited about these new tips and help messaging features. Again, we use it for SMS texting, email, social media, and it does seamlessly simultaneously send out to Facebook and Twitter if we select that option, and then it gives us a reverse 911 feature, either to a targeted area, geographic area. We can select a small area on a map, or send it to larger groups. We have not only a U.S. highway with hazardous materials moving through daily, we have a railroad and a pipeline that also run through our jurisdiction. So we felt several years ago that we need a method of mass communication, and Nixle has been our method. that's about all I have for you. I'm a small jurisdiction, and we try to reach out to our community. We have quarterly meetings, and again, since we started using Facebook a couple of years ago, it's been very successful, and hopefully you'll like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and see further how we use social media in the community. One slide that I didn't get to add, but I just wanted to mention, one of our most popular slides was meant to be somewhat humorous. We had an individual who reported a gray squirrel had aggressively attacked him, so we posted a picture of some aggressive squirrels and didn't want to make light of it because it was an issue, but that post I think reached about 44,000 people and was shared over 400 times. So you never know what post is going to get the most attention, but again, this is a very effective way to reach the members of your community and to show your transparency and the services you provide in the department. And I think that's about it.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief Murphy. I think you're right that sometimes a little humor can go a long way. We do hear that from other departments who are using these various communication strategies. So anything you can do to kind of show your human side is always a good thing. So we
Absolutely
have Chief Denke was able to join us. I think we've worked out his technological issues. So I wanted to bring Chief Denke on just for a moment to share a little, some of his thoughts on the topic with us. Again, Chief Denke is the Chief of Police with the Sycuan Tribal Police Department and the chairman of our Indian Country section.
Great, thank you, everybody, and
Muted.
Chief Auerbach and Chief Murphy, outstanding and very informative presentations. With that being said, it's an absolute honor to have the opportunity to briefly present on this webinar today, really featuring a very important topic for all law enforcement leaders throughout the country, both inside and outside of Indian Country. Although our department is yet to really deal with a major use of force issue within our community that we see all over the media lately, we've really undergone a refocus the past year and a half. When I look back 10 years ago, our department's overall relationship with our tribal community was very healthy, including a lot of trust bestowed on the department by the community and being perceived as real problem solvers. However, over the past 10 years, a lot of energy has been put into further legitimizing the police department within the greater regional law enforcement community. We all know that forming partnerships with our respective local, state, and federal agencies is absolutely necessary to be able to effectively police, especially within a public law 280 state. Unfortunately, I think all the focus we put in expanding our capabilities, it became clear through some incidents which our personnel probably could have handled a little bit differently, to say politely. The department seemed to start to lose its previous trust and relationships with the community, and it really didn't take long for the community and leadership to start pointing that out. So like Chief Auerbach said earlier, it was time to really start listening and learning. Along with that listening and learning, knowing that police community mistrust was almost becoming or is becoming or has become an epidemic around our nation, I started thumbing through publications which were released post-Ferguson and came across a 3-volume series put out by the COPS office on how to restore trust between police agencies and the communities they serve. And through all those pages, I came across one page that really all it was a simple, brief best practices examples by another department that really resonated with me. There are 5 key points that I felt that would be very palatable to our officers, hopefully resulting into an easy buy-in. And I'd like to just briefly go over those 5 because I know we're running out of time, but at least want to read those points real quickly. Number 1 was be patient. Be patient. Number 2, keep your cool. 3, be knowledgeable. 4, be alert. And alert, not so much officer safety, but alert on the technology that's out there, the cameras, the recordings. And number 5, know your community, which we probably hit the hardest on now. And really that's, I love how this was summarized. I'll read that real quick. It says, officers who patrol communities composed of individuals who differ from them by race or culture must be willing to learn the culture of their particular community. Police officers are not soldiers and should not be perceived as such or act as an occupying force. Officers must develop a rapport within their community in order to effectively carry out their duties in community-oriented problem solvers. That one hits big with us. Although our department is very diverse, most of our officers are not Native, and here you talk about an occupying force. You're talking about dealing with a community that historically has mistrust with police agencies or law enforcement agencies. I can say the last several months of really sitting down with all our officers individually and just really hitting on these 5 points and looking over incidents. They've been involved with incidents they're involved with now, and trying to use these 5 points to move forward and really open up and restore some of that. Those relationships has gone a long way. So I don't want to keep talking too much. Looks like we have 5 minutes left. Like I said, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to jump on here. I apologize. I planned on kind of teeing this thing off for my 2 colleagues there. So I thank my 2 colleagues, Chief Auerbach and Chief Murphy, again for your great presentations. Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, IACP, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words.
Unmuted.
Well, thank you, Chief Denke, and I apologize as well for those technical difficulties, but it's always really good to have you with us. And again, thank you very much to Chief Auerbach and Chief Murphy as well for being here. So again, we have time for a few questions. We did have one question come in about availability of the PowerPoint and the audio. We will be recording this session, so we'll have a video version of it available on our website within the next couple of weeks, and we'll be happy to share the PowerPoint with all of you at the close of the webinar. So if any other questions come in, feel free to send those out there. You can also reach out to us anytime to connect you with any of these presenters. So I did wonder, just one question that came to mind as you were all thinking. I know someone kind of mentioned the naysayers, and I'm curious if any of our panelists had any experience with resistance from the community or the council as you started any of these new programs, or has it been pretty well supported? Either the social media or the in-person events, either from your officers or from the community.
This is Bill. Thank you. I'll jump in real quick. One thing I'd like to hit on, any time you affect change like this, really the biggest hurdle is getting that buy-in by the officers and understand when you do something like this, sometimes there is a little bit of collateral damage. I actually lost one of my best officers during this transition the last year, that just really took it personal. He was a guy that was out in the community and couldn't get past that this wasn't a personal issue against, where we were singling out individual officers. So it is definitely a delicate balance between, doing better and being more effective with your job and really stepping on the toes of your officers that really feel they're out there trying to make positive change. So I just wanted to share that. That's something we have to be very careful with. We want to open up. We want to hear these concerns. We want to affect positive change. We can always do better, but we got to the community to find a way to massage that with our own personnel, especially those officers that are out there every day risking their lives and really doing their best to keep those relationships in place.
Jennifer, this is Chief Auerbach, if I might be able to respond. And good afternoon, Chief Denke. Thank you for your comments, sir, and also Chief Murphy for your presentation. Just a bit of a different perspective here as it relates to our community-based policing programs. 6 months ago, when we started our crime prevention and safety tip, I had received overwhelming favorable comments from the community, because at each one of these meetings it was an opportunity for us to spend some time about very important subject matters to the community, and it was in person and face-to-face as it relates to being able to share some real-time, valuable, beneficial information with the community And the time period before and after the meeting was a great opportunity to sit down with several community members and just talk with the community and listen to them. That dialogue and that opportunity for positive interaction with the community and just being able to sit and just to talk with the community members and to listen and then follow up with them the following month to know that we took what they said, we were listening. We took what they said to be very, very important, and then we made sure that we shared that feedback with them at the following meetings. That's gone a long way for us in really building better trust with the community who we serve.
All right. Well, thank you all again. We are just about out of time, so before we go, I did want to share just a couple of final notes. But again, if you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information will be on the last slide. But I wanted to point out just a few resources that relate to the topic that I thought might be of interest. Chief Murphy mentioned this, but we do at ISP have a Center for Social Media, and it has a lot of great tips about using some of the new technologies. He mentioned our model policy. We have a number of case studies and tip sheets about using some of those tools that Chief Murphy mentioned, as well as some other resources. So there's a great blog that has some suggestions for real-time things, new things that are coming out. They have suggestions about using your humor as law enforcement officers, but as well as kind of using new features. So it's a great resource. And finally, there are some really key community policing resources that touch on a lot of these topics. Of course, the COPS office is really the go-to. They've got some wonderful publications about communication and partnerships and just ways to enhance your community policing project. And of course, the task force report that was mentioned a couple of times is really the foundational document right now of looking at community and police relations. So if you haven't read a copy, by all means, I would encourage you to do so. And finally, I just wanted to mention IACP's Institute for Community Police Relations. This is a new program we're starting in IACP to really actionalize all the recommendations of the task force report. So there's going to be some great new resources coming within the next year or so, some technical assistance, some publications. So I encourage you to check back in with us for new resources as those things come about. And this, as I mentioned, is the final webinar in our series of community policing webinars. We do have 3 previous webinars that are available on our website. They're recorded, so you can view those videos anytime. And we have one more guidebook that's going to be coming out very soon. So we'll be sure to share a copy of that with everyone who's on the line today. And finally, you can see our website there and my contact information. So please do let us know if there's any questions you have or things that we can assist with. And a big thank you again to our presenters for joining us today. It's always really wonderful to hear about the good work that you're doing out there in the field. So as we close out, you are going to see a short 3-question survey pop up, and we appreciate your taking a moment just to fill that out because it does help us to plan for future trainings and resources. So my thank you again, and we hope to speak with all of you again soon on further webinars.